the Gulf Crisis video, one of possibly a million coming. I'm calling it the Gulf Crisis for a reason. I don't want to trigger the algorithm, and I want to, encapsulate the fact that it is impacting the entire region. I will not be talking about the geopolitics of it. I will be talking about the freight impact of it. That is what I do on this channel. I'm talking about the reality for people who are moving freight. So we're seeing a lot of news come out. Firstly, yes, some of the tankers have been attacked. I really want to highlight seafarers. Everything that we buy on our shelves has probably come via ship, especially in Australia and all around the world. We have a hyper interconnected supply chain. They arrive by ship. That ship only works because there are seafarers, and I'm really disgusted about some of the reporting on those tankers. There are real people aboard. They don't get a say in what ship they go on, and they don't get a say in whether they can transit those straits. They do not get paid a war premium. They cannot leave. So they can't just go, oh, I don't want to be on the ship anymore, I'm going to leave. They cannot leave, and I just really need to stress that. And I probably will be stressing that in every video because seafarers are that goddamn important. Okay, so we have the Strait of Hormuz, which I've talked about previously. Yes, oil is a really big deal. Anyone in the industry, we've been talking about the shadow fleet. We've been talking about sanctioned oil since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. 17% of tankers are running on the shadow fleet. So the oil thing has already been kind of covered and we are aware of. Here's the thing, Jebel Ali port, my brain broke for a hot second when I saw that Jebel Ali port had been attacked. It looked like it was debris falling from a unsuccessful drone strike. Jebel Ali port is a huge deal in that region. The port itself is incredibly large. It handles millions of containers every year. It's got something like 20 berths. We have taken out cranes before through vessels coming in a little too fast, and they've knocked a crane down and taken a berth out of commission, or a couple of berths out of commission actually, because they had to put an exclusion zone. The thing to know about Jebel Ali port in Dubai is that it's on the interior of the Strait of Hormuz. So the reason why you put a port on the interior of a strait is that there's like a natural turning basin, but also to protect it from weather so that you can get more usability out of it. The problem with having your port on the interior of the Strait of Hormuz is that if you shut the Strait of Hormuz, you can't get your ships in and out. So one of the things I want to talk about first is there are operational issues that compound. You've got vessels that are being attacked, so they are out of commission, right? So we're going to have to go rescue those seafarers. They may abandon ship. Seafarers don't want to abandon ship. The safest place to be is on the ship unless someone's actively bombing them. Going forward, I'm going to see how the response to this video is and how many times it gets flagged by community guidelines and the algorithm. So if I start using words in place of, it's for the algo. So you've got ships that are physically damaged and whether or not they've had the crew evacuated, but then you need to secure the ship so it doesn't run aground, cause an environmental spill, but also block the channel. That is not something that's useful for anyone. Then you have ships that are operationally sound and would be seaworthy, but they are blocked because certain straits are closed, like the Strait of Hormuz. Then there are transit routes that you cannot avail yourself of because the P&I clubs have come out and pulled war risk coverage. This is very normal. I have seen reporting that they're like, oh my God, this is unprecedented. It's not. About an hour and a half into waking up yesterday when I saw the news of the unfolding crisis in the Gulf, is that I was like, oh, okay, I want to know how long it's going to take for the P&I clubs to start pulling war risk insurance. It's very normal. How they do it is that they have a longitude and latitude. Now, because of the Red Sea, that's the last time we've seen it in a really large fashion in terms of geographic spread to get to the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. So they may not ban you per se, but if you can't transit an area without your insurance lapsing, then you're not going to get to the other side. So if you can't get to the Suez Canal without going to the Red Sea, but the Red Sea, there's no coverage, then you're not going to do that. But similarly, you can't get to Jebel Ali Port without going through the Strait of Hormuz. It may have already been captured. I'm waiting to get some notices to come through. So what happens is, if you're going to pull the war risk insurance, is that everyone goes, okay, everyone just hold on and just park your ship, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do. This is not dissimilar in operational response in terms of the Suez Canal blockage. So when the Suez Canal was blocked, everyone was like, do we go, do we not go? Is it going to reopen? Is it not going to reopen? Should we cut and run now and reroute, or should we wait and stay? The causation, very different. Operationally, this is what they're used to. This is what they're trained for. They're making risk decisions. Everyone I know was working on Sunday. That's just how it is. Everyone on Monday is having crisis meetings. I've sent so many emails to clients being like, what do you need? What are we doing? Have you thought about this? I'm going to talk through the commercial supply chain implications from a freight perspective, an operational perspective, say like reefer plugs, vessel spaceability, container availability, surcharges. I've just written an op-ed for the DCN, which I've sent off. So if you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. Some I'm not going to address on this channel. I'm going to be talking about the practical implications, commercial shipping, and those in the supply chain. That is what my page is about. If I know of anyone who's doing other things, I will point you in their direction. But also, I will not, and I cannot have politically charged comments in my section because of the publishing laws in Australia. I will be deemed liable. I'm not interested in moderating that. I might also put a video pinned about the rules about what we're doing when we're talking about this. Unfortunately, I won't have time to moderate, so I won't hesitate to block. It just is what it is. But if you have genuine questions, even if you're not in shipping, if you're not a cargo owner, you're not a freight forwarder, but you're genuinely curious, I would be delighted to answer your questions and give you more insight, because I want to increase knowledge and reduce fear. All of this is going to change as well. I'm going to put the date and what part number so that we can keep track, because I know how frustrating it is when you're looking at stuff and you're like, well, what date is that? Have things changed? So yeah, part one of who knows.